stirring the coffee with chopsticks using the vortex method, the only true way to optimize the truth at the molecular level. Good morning. Welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan. We'll get started, but first, truth. Nice. But I'll tell you what, you can't handle the truth. Turn the video off now.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
You are not ready for what I am about to say. You ever notice that you never see a motorcycle parked outside of a psychologist's office? You know why? Because it represents freedom of the mind and of the body. Have you ever driven a motorcycle? Do you have one? You need one. The best psychiatrist in the world has a throttle. Take my word for it. You know, there's a lot of comparisons between motorcycles and women. Motorcycles are cheaper, safer, waiting to be ridden. They never complain. And guess what? They never say, I'm not happy. You won't lose half your shit and your sanity because your motorcycle got bored. Protect your head, get a helmet. Protect your sanity and get a motorcycle. Truth. Well, here's some advice your pastor won't give you. Church is now in session. Never stick your dick in crazy. Imagine if your pastor said that. But he won't, because he's a pussy. That's why. And he's actually operated by his wife and the women in the congregation. Believe me on that one. Never stick your dick in crazy. But the paradox is, you never encounter crazy until after you do that. Can I hear an amen, somebody? Well, have you connected the dots yet? Think about it, fellow dot connectors. Your grandparents and your parents died. I know why. I know the cause of death. It's because they did everything a doctor told them to do. There, I said it. Your success will not come from how much you give a shit, how much you care. Your success is going to come from less caring and not giving a shit. Sounds cold, doesn't it? I told you, you're not ready to handle the truth. You can't handle it. Stay focused, my brother. That doesn't mean you need to be a stone cold prick, but you need to be able to access your inner stone cold prick if you need to. I think there was a title of a book called Not Giving a Shit is a Superpower. I hate to say that, you know. Pastors and churches fail miserably because they never taught men how to not be manipulated. Maybe a new church needs to be formed. You know, when I did Church of the Total Man, which I'm going to be starting up, I think I was onto something, wasn't I? There's a lot of truth there. It's not truth that I made up either. So if you want to get offended at him, not me. Don't shoot the messenger. Another benefit of having a motorcycle is you'll never find your motorcycle in another man's garage. Women play chess while most men are only playing checkers, and the world rewards that kind of warfare. You play fair, don't you? That's your first mistake. Why do so many women use the silent treatment? Pop quiz. Because it works. Psychological warfare. Once you see the playbook, you stop getting played. You start spotting the guilt trips, the fake vulnerability, the sudden switches between affection and withdrawal. And once you stop reacting the way they expect, the whole power dynamic shifts. Walk away. There's power in saying, pack your shit, there's the fucking door. Never forget that. Nothing irritates a woman more than a man who doesn't give a shit and doesn't respond to the power play. Remain firm, my brothers. Remain firm. There's, 4 billion women in the world and you're worried about one?
Wake the fuck up.
Dick will not make her normal. This bears repeating. You dicking her down will not make her normal. You know, you got like the Playboys saying she needs a good dicking. Yeah, okay. That's your delusional thinking, my brother. The fun stuff that happens on the bed for 30 minutes is not indicative of how life will be with her. It's a 30-minute pleasurable distraction. She loves it, but she doesn't love you. Because any man can give it to her. You are not that special, brother. Not to her. To me, you are. That's why I do what I do. I help men in distress because I actually give a shit about you. But you're not that special. Dicks are interchangeable, and her cell phone is always a box of dicks. You want to see a woman go psychotic? Ask to see her cell phone. Where's the lie? People talk about the weaker sex. How about the more manipulative sex? Stop playing the game. Stop it. Emotions are your enemy, and sentimentalism is a trap. I told you that. I probably did a teaching on that. I think I had a big, huge beard. One of them big old beards. Remember my big beard? Emotions are your enemy, and sentimentalism is a trap. Rather than missing someone, something, or some experience, just be thankful for the time it or they were in your life while things were going well. Sentimentalism is like ballast. It's like sandbags, on that gondola, that big basket on a hot air balloon. It stays grounded, not movable. It doesn't go anywhere as long as the sandbags are attached to it. Release the sandbags, and guess what? The balloon rises. They served their purpose. But to rise in life, my brother, the sandbags need to go. The biggest sandbag in your life is emotions and sentimentalism. It's all warm and fuzzy and it feels good, but it is a trap. Learn how to move on. Strengthen your move on muscles. So you got the silent treatment, huh? She shuts down. Sometimes women even say that. When you raise your voice, I just shut down. And then God forbid that you ask the question, what's wrong? Is everything okay? Did I do something wrong? And it's always leads you to say, did I do something wrong? Did I say something? Brother, this is not a bitching session about women, but I will tell you this. From experience, not only what I've experienced personally, but from listening to thousands of men's stories over the years. Never reward her bad behavior. End that entanglement fast. George Washington, America's first president, said, beware of foreign entanglements. That's great red pill advice for men. If you're not married, count your blessings and move on if she gives you the silent treatment. If you're married, then silently plan and swiftly execute your exit. I'm not saying bail out fast. I mean, marriages and relationships go through ups and downs. I've taught you for years, don't be a nice guy, be a considerate guy. You got the guys on the far end that say things like, don't do anything for women, never hold a door for a woman. I hold doors for women. I hold doors for men. I hold doors for kids. I hold doors for everybody. You know why? Because I'm a considerate man. I don't discriminate. I want to be considerate to everybody. You never know that your nice action might make someone's day who just got bad news. But never be someone else's bad news. That's a great thing to live by right there. A man cannot live with a woman or date a woman that utilizes the silent treatment. It's a tool to manipulate you. It's dysfunctional, it's evil, and it's disrespectful of you. You continue to show love, she continues to disrespect you. I don't want to be loved. I want to be respected. When a woman tells you that she loves you, always add these two words, for now. I love you. For now. You're the best. For now. Believe her actions and nothing of what she says, my brother. This was a really funny joke. Guy said, I met a really cool gal who was half Japanese and half Filipino. I ruined it by constantly calling her jalapeno. I thought that was funny. Another funny line I heard, there was a rabbit eating grass in my backyard. For me, it's like sitting in a field of McDonald's French fries. Oh, that's pretty funny. I like drinking toasts, even though I don't drink. Coffee is my new drug. Well, coffee has always been my drug. And right now, on 1.5 milligrams, only available online. Start out with a 1.5. Coffee, cup of coffee, and a nicotine pouch. Game on, my brother. Game on. An Irish drinking toast. Here's to cheating, stealing, fighting, and drinking. If you cheat, may you cheat death. If you steal, may you steal a woman's heart. If you fight, may you fight for a brother. And if you drink, may you drink with me. Learn how to do toasts. Like at dinner. I don't care. You don't have to like hold up a beer or a cocktail. Hold up a cup of coffee or a glass of water. Be a man that always has several toasts in his memory. And it's nice to be able to, it's like if you're with a group of people at dinner, you know how like at weddings, people like, they tap their glasses and everyone gets real quiet and then like the newly married couple has to kiss. When you go to dinner with people, before all the food is served, do this. Stand up and give a toast. I love this advice from Vincent van Gogh, although someone recently told me that the name Van Gogh, the G-O-G-H, is pronounced like the word cough. Like when you're coughing, it's Van Gogh. How would I know that? But better late than never. He writes to his brother and he says, Theo, I must recommend that you start smoking a pipe. It does you a lot of good, even when you're out of spirits, as I quite often am nowadays. Can you imagine? There's your therapist right there. A motorcycle and a pipe. Imagine riding a motorcycle out in the countryside. You see a waterfalls. You see some cows grazing in a pasture. You stop. You pull your pipe out, pack it, fire it up, sitting there having a pipe, leaning against your motorcycle. Oh, damn. What a life. What a life. There's your therapy, brother, right there. For someone older, divorced, or widowed, or traditionally wired to jump into commitment or marriage like myself, grow up, meet a girl, get married, have kids, be happy, right? I want you to consider this. Relationship fasting, and I mentioned this yesterday, which means that you only see each other for finite periods of time in the same way you would do intermittent fasting. You eat during a certain window of time. You might do an 18-6, 18 hours of not eating, and then eat all you want during those 6 hours, or eat like what's good for you. Open-ended relationships, that doesn't mean polyamory, you dingbat. Let's make the word dingbat great again. Open-ended relationships means that you're not like working towards something. Sometimes it's okay to just enjoy the company of a woman. It's okay. It doesn't have to lead to something. It doesn't have to lead to a bed. It doesn't have to lead to a relationship. That's an open-ended relationship. Contractual relationships, which means that you see each other like only on Friday nights, or you have date night once a week and Netflix and chill night once a week, something like that. These are options for those that don't care about notch count, making babies, or traditional vows. Bro, you don't need a mommy, a maid, or a caretaker. That can be a pretty darn nice life. Consider the table for one lifestyle. I know Mandelbaum will appreciate this. I don't know if this came from Mel Brooks, but it sounds like a Mel Brooks thing. Moses comes down from the mountain a second time and he says, I got good news and I got bad news. First, the good news. I got him down to 10. Now the bad news. Adultery stays. Continuing on the topic of never stick your D in crazy, I'll add to that, especially God-fearing crazy. That's crazy on steroids. And I'm a Christian man. Some of the craziest mofos I've ever known were Christian women. How about these guys? I like my women thick. You mean with high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, vaxxed up with every cancer-causing substance, and taking a handful of medication every day? You mean that kind of thick? Good job, brother. One of the things that men deal with on a regular basis in relationships is the unpredictability of women. Is she going to be happy and agreeable today? Or will she be a minefield and I have to watch every fucking thing I say? Women occasionally refer to themselves as crazy. But God forbid that you tell her that. I knew a woman once that said, I get my practical stuff and my determination from my father, and I get my crazy from my mother. Listen to her when she tells you the truth, my brother. Sometimes it can take as little as 2 or 3 days for crazy to come out. It could take as long as 5 years. Keep that in mind. No woman ever drew a bath for me, lit candles, took me on vacation, wakes me up with coffee every morning, made me feel like the king of Pennsylvania. Some of you just thought of the song, King of Oklahoma. Bought me a safer car than the old banger truck that I was driving, surprised me with a cruise to my favorite island, put concert tickets to the Isley Brothers in my birthday card, told me I didn't have to work if I don't want to, and I'm totally okay with that. But wait, it was me that did all of that. You know, I heard someone say recently, and I totally get this. One guy said, if your wife has to work, you failed. I get that. We are wired to provide and protect, always. Am I right? We're wired that way. But you go through a couple fucked up relationships, and you realize that if you keep her home, she's untrustworthy. And if she wants out, or gets bored, or I'm not happy, you lose half your shit and half your sanity. Stay sane, my brothers. Rollo said it the best. And I know you're thinking, there he goes again, quoting Rollo. I will tell you this. The three most frequent words that I've heard in the comments and private emails to me are, you, Rich, and Rollo have saved my life. Rollo says, men want it to be love for the sake of love. Women leverage this. But it's men who are the true romantics. We pick out the nice vacations. We pick this bunch of flowers because we think she'll like it more than this bunch of flowers. We go to this restaurant because we think she'll like this more than that. Where's the lie? What's the difference between Facebook Marketplace and Facebook dating? Nothing. Both are advertising overpriced, used merchandise. Friend of my brother, Tony, got himself a Harley-Davidson Fat Bob, a 2008. Not a fat boy, a Fat Bob. Nice low seat height. I looked at it. Big front tire. Solid wheels. My response to that is, get behind me, Satan. I will not get a Fat Bob. I will not get a Fat Bob. I will not get a Fat Bob. Great-granddaddy did it that way, granddaddy did it that way, and then daddy did it that way. Now I do it that way. I got a question for you. What if great-granddaddy was wrong? That's generational curses right there. One of the funniest things I've heard all week is this: your ex has dropped more boxers than Mike Tyson. That's funny. See this one guy doing laundry, washing dishes, vacuuming, wiping up the table, tidying up the house. He says, your wife is your partner, not your mom. That's still simp behavior. I will tell you this. Better yet, she's your wife, not your mom. Forget this partner bullshit. Partners are for business. In relationships, someone has to lead and someone has to follow. The three most important words that you can say to a woman are, follow my lead. Vet her for her ability to follow when you lead. But here's the catch. You have to be a leader, and you have to have somewhere to lead her to. And in your failed relationships, you can look back and pinpoint the very day and time where she stopped following you. And I'll end with this. Let's hear it for all the good part-time, short-term guys and boyfriends who don't have what it takes to be a lifelong husband to a woman. Brother, you are not broken. Listen to me. You are not broken. The playing field has changed. You can be as based and as red-pilled as you want, but you might not be wired for a relationship. Sometimes, maybe it is you. Maybe you don't have what it takes. You may really desire to run a 4-minute mile, but you don't possess the biology and mental software to do it. You may truly desire to be a married man, but not have what it takes. There's your real red pill. That's hard to swallow. No one ever talks about that, ever. And with that, finish your coffee, and I'll see you on the next Daybreak Show, the only home of sanity, clarity, and reason.